right, so I promised you all that I would do a reading for this month on from the 13 Original Clan Mothers, since I neglected to put this book in the resources. I wanted to go ahead and read this. I was planning on doing that anyways, so this works out really well. I'm so excited for those of you who have not been introduced to this book before, because you're in for a treat. We'll just leave it at that. So anyways, I'm super excited to share this with you. A little bit of background about how this book came into being a part of my practice. White Star Woman, who is the woman who's going to be with us on our first call in November, she has a lodge in her home in Winston-Salem. She has studied and apprenticed in the Cherokee tradition and is a wisdom keeper of indigenous, North American indigenous wisdom. She's a Caucasian woman, but has studied with elders from the Cherokee Nation and has done extensive study with the Clan Mothers, which is written by a woman named Jamie Sams, who brought forward an incredible amount of indigenous wisdom to everyone. And she got a lot of, let's just say, pushback for that, because this was all very sacred teachings that were kept under lock and key, basically only shared with those who were part of the clan or culture or tribe. And Jamie Sams just basically, was listening to her own inner guidance and felt that it was time to bring this information forward. There have been prophecies about that. And anyways, so, she has a lot of different publications. She has medicine cards that she's published. She has many books. But this book in particular is really incredible because it is all about divine feminine wisdom. It breaks the teachings down into 13 units, 13 chapters. And 12 of the chapters are covering 12 months of the year, right? Going all the way around what they call the medicine wheel of the year, beginning in January and going all the way through December. So January 1st to December 31st. Now, the 13th chapter, it's believed in this tradition that there's a turning point of the new year when there's that transitional period of the moment that the previous year then turns into the new year, and that this is also, this time period encapsulates a whole energy in and of itself. And so that's why there's 13 chapters and why there's 13 clan mothers. Now, the clan mothers, they are representative of the energies that are held within those particular months. So they come forward with bringing up predominant energies, and they teach us from a perspective of embodiment. So when you read the book, like if you go to the introduction, it talks about them basically as energies that neither are birthed nor do they die. They basically are, incarnations of celestial energy, ancestral energy, brought into a human form, but that does not experience the life and death cycle that humans do. So although they're taking human form and the stories are told from that perspective, it's understood that these energies are beyond the physical and are more of an ancestral and celestial type of energy. So if you want to learn more about that, just read the introduction to the book. And in these individual chapters, which are meant to be read at the beginning of each month and then sat with and meditated upon and reflected upon each month, she teaches us about animal energies, so totem animals or the teachings of specific animals for that particular month, and brings forward indigenous concepts of right relationship with all of our relations, our ancestors, spirit energy of the land, working with basic foundational teachings of shamanic, divine, feminine, indigenous wisdom. Okay, so that just gives you a little bit of like background about this. White Star Woman introduced me to this book, and I journeyed with her during a healing circle, a healing quest that was a year long. And we followed this book and read this book and reflected on this book as sort of the focal point of this healing quest. And so we were investigating the energies within each of these stories and within each of these months. And it's just really beautiful what is brought forward in this book. So I'm so excited for you all to read this and get exposed to it. And I hope that you'll be able to get a copy of this book. And I love reading from it. So I'm going to read the whole chapter, and it's a long, I mean, you know, they're not long, but you know, there are a few pages. So this goes from, let's see, 203 to 219. So anyways, just think of it as story time, and I recommend that you listen to this as if you're listening to like a guided meditation, basically. So I encourage you to, and I'm going to take you into that, so I don't even need to explain. I'm just going to take you through it. So anyways, we're going to be, you're going to be listening to me read Weaves the Web, the clan mother of the 10th moon cycle, which is for the month of October. And yeah, I'm really excited, and please make any comments, post any comments or questions in the, in the comments of this video. And yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and begin. So I've already burned a little bit of sage, but I'm gonna do it again. And I'm going to take us sort of into a meditative state. So just burn a little bit of sage here. Always honoring these sacred texts in a ceremonial or ritual way to honor them. So just begin by closing the eyes and finding your breath. Taking 3 deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Let us call in and on all 7 of the directions: east, south, west, north, above, below, and within. Let us call in and on our guides and our ancestors, all those who are working for our highest and best, all that is good and powerful in our ancestral line. Call in and on the wisdom and all that is held within our blood and DNA that connects us to our ancestral line. Let us call in and on any other supportive energies, friends, family, animal, teachers, plant medicine, any elements that we are working with that are supporting us for our highest and best. We'll call in and on the Reiki energy, and specifically the distance Reiki symbols, so that the potency and the energy that is held in these words to be easily and effortlessly received through this medium of video. So that as you listen to these words, you're able to receive what is held. Good. If you have any gratitudes, appreciations, intentions, or prayers that you wish to offer up, go ahead and do that now. And allow your concentration to rest within the right side of the heart as I move into reading. So again, weaves the web. Gossamer threads of life hold me, perched between earth and sky. Weaving the web, dreaming the dream, through the two worlds I will fly. With you as my muse, mother, I create the substance of dreams, allowing the artist within me to fashion my life with esteem. I mold the clay of experiences into a sacred medicine bowl, capturing the essence of living as it sings deep in my soul. Your secrets of creation, mother, have taught me when to destroy the chains that have bound me, limiting the expressions of my joy. You have taught me how to labor, giving birth to the visions within, setting them free like silver arrows, kindling the fire of creation again. Every chapter begins with a poem. Clan Mother of the 10th Moon Cycle. Weaves the web represents the creative principle within all things. Her moon cycle falls in the month of October and is connected to the color pink. Working with the truth is her cycle of truth. She teaches us how to use our hands to create beauty and truth in tangible forms. Pink is the color of creativity. Weaves the web shows us how to use crafts and art to create our ideas and dreams in the physical world. Through using our hands, we show our willingness to be of service to all of our relations. Weaves the web is the guardian of the creative force in all things. She helps us express our creativity in a positive manner and use the energy available to us. The clan mother is also the keeper of life force and instructs us to create health, to manifest our dreams, to develop and use our talents, and to access our spiritual potentials. The clan mother of the 10th moon cycle is the mother of creative and destructive principles. She shows us when to destroy limitations and create anew. She also teaches us when to nurture our creations because she is the keeper of the survival instinct. When our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual survival is at risk, Weaves the Web shows us how to tap into the life force to grow beyond the stagnation. She is an artist, a creatress, and the muse who beckons and inspires us to create the beauty found in our heart's desire. Through making something tangible and filling that creation with beauty, we are shown that the stuff of dreams can be expressed, giving form to our visions. She is the clan mother we turn to when we are afraid of failure or lack self-expression. When we follow the steps necessary to bring our dreams to life, Weaves the Web shows us how to use the life force found in our 4 elements of air, earth, water, and fire. I'd like to add in another element that we'll be considering during our time together, which is ice. We learn how to fix these elements with the creative essence that is our gift from the great mystery. The creative spark is called the eternal flame of love and lives inside our spiritual essence, also known as our orenda. When the desire to create is in place, we are then able to make the decision to be. We then give form to our spiritual essence or orendas through self-expression. Weaves the web, the grandmother spider who wove the web of the universe, teaches us how to weave the web of our experiences. She shows us how every circle we create grows to touch the circles created by all other life forms. The webs we create can trap us if we do not create them in truth. We are asked by this clan mother to work with and for the truth in order to manifest a world dream that all living things can share. A web that is created in greed will eventually trap and devour the one who wove it because it was woven too tightly to allow giving, receiving, and sharing. A web woven too loosely without care lacks the craftsmanship that is necessary to make it strong and durable. A web woven from fear will attract the lessons needed to overcome that fear. A web woven from the love of creating and the desire to share the abundance caught in the web's silvery fibers is a web that will endure until the dream is fulfilled. Weaves the web is the clan mother we turn to when we need the skills to make our dreams real. She shows us how to take the actions necessary to tap our creativity and go with the flow. Giving birth to our dreams is always accomplished by having the desire to create, deciding to create, and taking actions necessary by using the flow of life force to give birth to the dream in the tangible world. So Weaves the Web is really our teacher of manifestation. She teaches us how to take the spark of creation that lives within us, that is the eternal life force, the collective consciousness, the spark, the God consciousness, whatever you want to call it, and teaches us how to direct it in such a way so that we can see and feel the fruition of our desires and our dreams and the life that we wish to create for ourselves. She also teaches us the lessons that are needed in order to be able to wield that wisdom. And so, yeah, this is such a powerful chapter to be starting our journey with. Grandmother Spider came down. Weaves the web, scoop the rich white clay from the river's embankment below the chalky bluffs, and place the lumps of alabaster earth into her river reed basket. The leaves of the scrub oak had turned bright red in contrast to the yellow pollen that clung to the deep forest green of the surrounding cedars. The leaves of these standing people would bring forth many colors when added to her oven to fire the bowl she would create from the clay. She would climb the limestone cliffs to gather the flat-leafed cedar and red-orange oak leaves, but she was happy to do it. Weaves the Web found such joy in making objects of beauty and experimenting with new designs that she often lost herself in the creative process. Sometimes, when she was out walking on the land, she would find herself deep in the tall forest, covered with vines and chirping birds, and would have no idea where her wanderings had taken her. Weaves the Web had a natural ability to retrace her trek by looking to her basket and working with the gathered objects that she had placed in a specific order. She could begin with the last object she had gathered and walk back to the area where she found it. Then, one by one, the locations of her collected bounty would take her back to familiar surroundings. From those often traveled locations, the clan mother would easily find her way home. Weaves the Web used bark, berries, tubers, leaves, and mosses she gathered in the same way Grandmother Spider used the silvery threads of her web. It made no difference if the mother of creativity traveled in a circle or in a straight line. She would always find her way back to her camp. Each location where Weaves the Web gathered something from the land, containing a spot where she had connected her creative threads of self-expression with the living plants, earth, or stones of sunlit forest. The clan mother always left a gift for the spirits of the forest when she took something for her own use. The loving exchange, showing gratitude, left a trail through the lush growth that formed a homecoming trail back to her camp, nestled in the limestone outcroppings that towered over the river's bend. As Weaves the Web dug more clay from the embankment, using a sharp piece of stone as a hand tool, she saw in her mind's eye the medicine bowl she would fashion from the clay. The enjoyment she felt when she used her hands to make pots coursed through her arms, bringing her a sense of satisfaction that made the hard work of digging the clay seem easy. The hole carved by spring runoff that gaped like an open mouth in the slanting ridge reminded Weaves the Web that the Earth Mother would need to be fed after sharing the cloud-colored clay with her two-legged daughter. Weaves the Web had carried several large stones down the bluff to place inside the orifice where she had dug her clay. Squirrel scampered down the trunk of a pecan tree on the other side of the river, exposing his nut-laden cheeks to Weaves the Web. He tried valiantly to give the clan mother a smile without spitting out pecans. Weaves the Web giggled at Squirrel's predicament, thinking of the lessons he had taught her through his natural medicine of gathering energy and saving a little extra for lean times. In the early seasons of her earth walk, the clan mother had learned to pack dried fruits, tubers, and meat in underground storage holes, saving the food for use in the winter. Squirrel was once again preparing for the coming snows. Weaves the Web noticed that Mother Beaver and her clan had made ready for the coming white moons because they were busy stopping the river's flow, adding saplings to the dam they had built across the inlet, just downstream from where she was digging clay. The changing temperatures were a sign to the clan mother that it was time to gather all the materials she would need to keep busy during the winter when her activities were limited by the biting white winds of the north. She had filled her food stores gathering herbs for cooking and medicinal purposes and tanned the green pelts needed for a new parka, and now she was collecting the supplies she would need to make usable implements for her life in camp. She silently thanked Mother Beaver for showing her how to use her time to build or make things during periods of long inactivity. Beaver was the keeper of builder medicine, who showed humankind how to keep busy by being productive, bringing their visions and dreams of a better life into reality. The tribe that walked through the clan mother's forest in summer followed the trail to their ripening moons, gathering as always. Ripening Moon's gathering was always happy to trade with the artist because her creations were so unusual. Weaves the Web always had a storehouse of handmade toys, baskets, clothing, clay pots, and cooking utensils finished by the time the snows had been replaced with clear green shoots of new undergrowth. By the moon of ripening berries, the clan mother had bartered for the items that would fill her own needs, assuring her that she would meet the challenges of living alone during the falling snows. Every moon of falling leaves, Weaves the Web would see which raw materials were available and would plan all of the things she would make during her time. Her creature friends would be hibernating. The clay she was now digging would be a part of her cache of art supplies, as the leaves she intended to gather later before grandfather's sun went down. For the next 2 moons, the clan mother would complete her gathering and store all her needed supplies in the cavern she called home. The blowholes in her cavern, created by Earth Mother's metamorphic growth and cooling cycle in ages past, have provided the clan mother of creativity a few excellent places to keep her things. She could even fire her pots in a blowhole that had a natural chimney through the limestone roof, high above the cave's entrance. Winter came with all its blustery glory. The northern winds exhaled the snows and the swirling patterns, covering everything with glistening ice beings and downy snowflake blankets. Inside the cavern, Weaves the Web was happy and warm. Each new sun brought new ideas and the continued joy of whittling, making pots, fashioning dolls from old bones, basket weaving, or sewing hides into clothing. Weaves the Web put her love and expertise into each item she made, and in so doing gave each creation the gift of life and purpose, similar to the way the Great Mystery gave life and purpose to all of creation. She looked forward to the coming days of trading during the ripening moons that would bring her a way to share her artistic endeavors with the other two-leggeds. Just imagining the expression of joy that would light up their faces after the trade was complete warmed her heart, even now in the deepest cold of winter. The ones she traded with would never show how much they liked something before a trade was complete, fearing the barter would ask too high a price. But afterwards, the gleam in their eyes was a welcome reward for the mother of creativity. One son, after a first few snows had blanketed the earth mother in her white robes, weaves the web, awoke to find the most exquisite spider's web she had ever seen, covering the opening of a blowhole. In the center of the web was the most unusual spider, completely white except for one red spot in the upper portion of her body. Weaves the web marveled at the unusual appearance of her eight-legged friend. Spiders did not usually appear during the cold of winter. Perhaps the warmth of the cavern had brought her visit, but it was doubtful. Weaves the web thought it was a sign from Grandmother Spider, who wove the web of the universe. Grandmother Spider was the special creature that the Great Mystery had chosen to weave the original webs of the tangible world, making a skeleton of concentric circles that would hold the flesh and realities of all life forms in creation. Weaves the web asked Spider if she had a special message. She was startled by the creepy crawler's answer echoing in a voice inside her human thoughts. I have been sent from Grandmother Spider to tell you that you have created many things of beauty and have woven a new web of experience because your heart has expressed the desire to share that creativity with others. Use your new medicine bowl and seek the visions that will reflect the desires hidden within your heart. Seek answers to what is coming into the web you have woven out of your hidden desires. Trust that you have chosen well and that your dreams will be fulfilled. Weaves the web went to the far corner of her cave where she kept her medicine objects to retrieve her latest creation. The bowl was hard-fired and blackened with smoke from the leaves she had gathered. Here and there were flecks of color from trace minerals in the clay. She retraced her steps across the cave, lit a fire, and filled the bowl with melting snow. It was not long before her efforts brought the vision of the three two-legged stumbling through the snow at the edge of the forest. One larger and two smaller forms struggled against the pounding winds of a storm. The vision changed, and Weaves the Web saw the smiling faces of two children, then nothing. That night, Weaves the Web dreamt she was That night, Weaves the Web dreamt she was looking for food in the sea, and as she looked down into her woven net, she spied a starfish. It was an unusual starfish, colored a brilliant purple red. Starfish spoke to her and told her that its body represented the creative life force that two-leggeds could use when they tapped into the clan chiefs of air, earth, water, and fire, and then mix those elements with the creative force of the Great Mystery. Starfish showed Weaves the Web how the clan mother had employed that same use of energy in making her crafts in the ingenuity she had used in fashioning the cave into a warm home. Starfish whispered to the clan mother's heart, "Weaves the Web, you have used your creativity to fill your life with beauty, but you have become lonely. The hidden desire in your heart is weaving a dream that can change that aloneness if you pay attention. The abundance of creative talent that you possess can be shared with others if you give birth to your dream of having a family." The clan mother was startled by Starfish's revelation, but she could not pull her senses away from the dream. She tried to wake, struggling with her desire to remember, but as the dreamscape changed, she went even deeper into the pictures being presented. The keeper of survival instinct knew on some level of consciousness that she needed to surrender and follow the dream vision in order to understand why she had not allowed the feelings of being alone to surface. She sighed in her sleep and then plunged into a watery world around her. Fathoms of ocean traveled past as she slipped beneath the waves, discovering that she could breathe under the dream water. When she reached the ocean floor, Starfish, riding on her shoulder, whispered to her again, "Weaves the Web, you are immersed in the watery womb of the Earth Mother. Here you can give birth to your dreams and allow yourself to be reborn in the process. You never allowed the aloneness to surface because you were too busy giving life to your dream creations. The clan mother focused her attentions on her womb and saw all the pent-up feelings she had hidden from herself with her desire to create. She wanted children. She wanted to share the toys she had made and to teach the young to use their imaginations, allowing them to create their heart's content. She wanted to share the wisdom she carried regarding every human's ability to create as much as her or his imagination would allow. Children knew how to make that kind of magic, and so did Weaves the Web. A deep cry rose in her throat as she screamed her loneliness into the water. Suddenly, the clan mother felt a movement in her belly. She had an urge to spread her legs and push hard. She allowed her body to do the work, and a big iridescent bubble came from her womb into the water and rose to the surface. She caught a brief glimpse of bright eyes and 2 smiles looking back at her. Her body jerked involuntarily, and she woke up. It was an unusually chilly pre-dawn, and so she decided she would make a big fire to warm her shivering body. There was no use in trying to go back to sleep. She looked at the blowhole where Spider had been and was astonished to discover the figures of 3 two-leggeds woven into the outer edge of the web. Spider was gone. The fire was having trouble getting started because a draft was coming into the cavern from around the hides that covered the entrance. The clan mother threw a heavy robe around her shoulders and stumbled to the doorway. When Weaves the Web tried to cover the cave's entrance with hides, pulling the rocks over the bottom of the skins to anchor them, she saw, not far from the trail that led to her home, a large mound covered in snow that was not usually there. Thinking that some lost creature had broken its leg and could provide her with fresh meat, she grabbed her flint knife and braved the foggy grayness of the pre-dawn. Upon reaching the mound, she placed her fur-wrapped foot on the side and gently nudged to see if the animal was still alive. After a second, firmer nudge, the guardian of creativity heard a human groan. The next few moments were spent in a furious endeavor to dig the body out of the snow. Upon reaching a nearly frozen buffalo robe, Weaves the Web cast it aside and found the blue body of a woman sheltering 2 children. The clan mother bent close and listened, realizing the woman was no longer alive but was now walking in the spirit world. She tried to reach beneath the frozen mother to see if the children were still breathing. She wrestled with the frozen arms of the woman's body and pulled a boy of 4 summers into her arms, and then his older sister. She placed both children on her robe and covered them with 2 smaller robes that had been beneath them, keeping their bodies from lying directly on the frozen snow. She fought and tugged, dragging her load up the trail to the cave. The bodies of the children were ice cold, but they were breathing. She returned her thanks to the north wind for not bringing more snow and for the lives of her 2 charges. She had covered the woman's body, but she would have to return later to bury the body deeper to keep it from being food for the wandering carnivores. Finally, she reached the hides at the cave's entrance. The fire blazed brightly, giving all 3 people the warmth they desperately needed. Amid whimpers and moans, Weaves the Web worked diligently to rub life back into the children's half-frozen limbs. The clan mother was reassured that the children would recover by smiling faces she had seen in her 2 visions, but she hurriedly continued to administer her healing salves, stopping only once to hang a pot of stew over the fire. After the children had been rubbed, fed, then tucked in an extra heavy sleeping robes, the clan mother rested. Tiny sighs and moans came from the buffalo robes nestled near the fire. Assured that the children were asleep and the keeper of survival instinct donated her fur parka and went to bury the children's mother in the fading light. Later, bone-weary after stoking the fire for the night, she collapsed into a dreamless sleep, but had some part of herself still listening to make sure the children were all right. Sound of rain was the young girl of 11 summers who found comfort in being with Weaves the Web. From the first instant that the girl resigned herself to the fact her mother was in the spirit world, she began calling the clan mother Aunt. This term of endearment was the way tribal children showed respect for their elders, acknowledging extended family as well as bloodkin. Sun Behind the Clouds, her little brother, had only passed 4 summers but was precocious, bold, and interested in everything he came into contact with. The little warrior was fascinated with the things he knew Aunt could do and the way she included him in all the activities of life inside the cavern. Weaves the Web was overjoyed with the company of her new niece and nephew. The children were always looking for ways they could assist in the daily routine. Sound of Rain was very creative and willing to talk about the ideas that poured from her imagination when she was learning how to make things. Sun Behind the Clouds was a quick learner and was the quieter of the two, hiding his bright smile behind an unusually thoughtful manner. Together, the 3 would spend hours making new and wonderful toys, clay pots, and paintings, as well as participating in stories and games. Weaves the Web felt that she had been given a gift that made her life complete. The children had replaced their sense of loss with a magical world that filled every passing sun with new games, fun, and a sense of family, living with an aunt who cared for them very deeply. The storms of winter howled and growled outside the cavern, but inside the fire was warm, the food was plentiful, and the loving new experiences seemingly inexhaustible to the 2 little ones. Weaves the Web assisted Sun Behind the Clouds in making a child-sized shield out of rawhide and a tiny set of arrows to go with a little bow. The young warrior would spend hours at the back of the cavern, shooting the giant four-leggeds that the clan mother had painted on the walls of the cave. Sun Behind the Clouds would silently stalk his prey, hiding behind the boulders scattered here and there along the limestone floor. Then he would pretend he was a fully grown hunter who was capable of downing the buffalo or elk with 1 arrow. Often he would mimic hauling the meat home and to his aunt and sister. Weaves the Web always thanked Sun Behind the Clouds for his prowess and for the imaginary meat he brought to their fire. In a very serious manner, she would ask the little warrior what great 4-legged he had downed that day, and he would name the creature. The aunt would then teach the boy how to apologize to the beast, giving thanks to the creature's spirit for the food provided. And then she would show the boy how to release the animal's spirit. Every time Sun Behind the Clouds brought fresh and visible meat home, Weaves the Web would cook some dried meat from her stores for the evening meal. Sound of Rain was impressed with her aunt's ability to support both children's vivid imaginations. The clan mother encouraged any kind of creativity that either child cared to employ when playing, making things, or helping with chores. If the children could find an easier or more self-expressive way of doing something, Weaves the Web was happy to go along. The clan mother showed both her charges how to work with their hands and how they could create a beautiful life in the same manner they created crafts of beauty. She showed them how to take care of materials, how to be proud of their handiwork, and how to put love into everything they created. She reminded both children of how the Great Mystery had put love into every life form and how they, as 2-leggeds, were asked to continue that legacy of love and creativity. Weaves the Web taught the children that every painted symbol that had meaning to an artist, and that every color had a significance when an artist created an object of beauty. The medicine story behind each pot or toy gave those items a mission or something to teach a 2-legged who looked upon those creations. The self-expression of the artist who created the items always reflected how those craftspeople felt about themselves, how well they had developed their skills, and how they saw the world around them. Weaves the Web became a muse for the 2 children, always urging them to use their imaginations and reasoning powers by putting their creativity into workable methods that would allow the pictures in their minds to match the crafts or playthings they made. Sounds of Rain was a striking example of how quickly a child could learn to become as skilled as an adult. The girl's keen ability of observation and repetition astounded Weaves the Web. The young girl's imagination and sense of self shined through every new endeavor she undertook and then accomplished. Weaves the Web could clearly see from the way Sounds of Rain used her materials and took painstaking efforts to make and paint pots that the girl would become a masterful artist and craftsperson. Symbols were delicately and precisely painted by Sound of Rain's unwavering hands, guided by the girl's natural sense of proportion and composition. Weaves the Web realized that her heart's hidden desire had brought the dream of having loving artistic children into her life. As the warming moons approached, the clan mother found herself weaving future dreams that included her niece and nephew, sharing the magic of creating a life full of rich potential. Daily, Weaves the Web returned thanks for the fullness she felt in being privileged to observe the children's growth and joyful self-expression. She forgot what it had been like to pass winters alone and in silence, with only her pots, crafts, and toys for company. One sleeping during the warming moons, the voice of the Earth Mother permeated Weaves the Web's dreams. Daughter of my spirit, hear my voice. The gift you have given yourself in the form of these two children is the gift of the dream weaver, Grandmother Spider. You will nurture these children into adulthood. You will share their exuberance and their tears. You will find yourself reflected in them as you observe them passing through the cycles of growth and change. These memories are the living treasures that every mother carries inside her heart. While they grow, the children will also use their creativity to test your authority, to test your wisdom, and to test your resolve. Know that they need a firm hand as well as a loving aunt who teaches them how to destroy limitation through using their self-expression and creativity. The clan mother thought of all the times she had shown the youngsters how to make something new from a pot or a toy that did not turn out as it should. Creation and destruction could always be reinvented if one used imagination. Weaves the Web took the Earth Mother's words of wisdom to heart, making note in the dream to remember all she heard and perceived. Then the Earth Mother continued, You have birthed your heart's hidden desire through weaving your dreams with the invisible webs of creative force, daughter. You have created a loving family circle that will touch the circles of every other life form when life's experiences are shared. When your hoops of creation come together with the circle of life's experiences created by others, new ideas and creativity are available to everyone who is willing to share. Sun Behind the Clouds is a living extension of the male side of your nature, and Sound of Rain is a reflection of the female part of yourself. As you love them into adulthood, you will be creating the patterns of self-expression and webs of creativity that will serve them throughout their earth walks. Through their experiences, you'll be able to see how your own creativity can meld with theirs to manifest the dreams you have shared in common. Teach your children well, Weaves the Web, and you will show others how the spirit of the artist living inside every human can fashion a world that respects the creativity that the great mystery placed inside all living things. As the Earth Mother's voice faded, Weaves the Web found herself riding through her dream on the back of Cheetah. Cheetah's medicine of accomplishing tasks with speed and agility brought the clan mother visions that seemed to fly through her mind's eye as if in fast motion. Images of showing the children how to accomplish new tasks, avoiding the laziness and procrastination that comes from lack of inspiration, flashed through the clan mother's mind. The future would be good, the horizon was bright with possibilities, and Weaves the Web had found an unlimited source of inspiration, seeing the world through the eyes of Sound of Rain and Sun Behind the Clouds. Weaves the Web silently thanked the great mystery for allowing her to express the beauty found in being a mother of the creative force. Her path would grow and change along with the lives of her children. Every object she had ever created was an extension of her love and self-expression, each having a purpose and a mission of serving. Her children would find their own purposes and missions through their individual forms of self-expression. As the keeper of the survival instinct, the clan mother realized that she had created a way for the wisdom and love she carried in her Orenda to be passed on, surviving the test of time because she had woven a web of creation that allowed her to give life, longevity, and permanence to her manifested dreams. So that is the chapter for Weaves the Web. And I hope that you will go back through when you get a chance and read. I often will, oh boy, see, this book is so well loved that it's literally falling apart. I've had it since 2010. So it's, it's 10 years old, and it looks like it because I use it all the time. But anyways, so I highly recommend that you highlight or underline areas that make sense to you. Spend a little bit of time perhaps journaling about your reflection on this chapter, what resonates with you, what it brought to the forefront for you. A few of the things that I would love to highlight from this chapter that is in alignment with the suggested experiences. One is when we go to the forest or go to the woods to have a walk, right? And we feel inspired to connect with something from the natural world, and we want to take it home with us, right? So let's say there's a stone being that I'm feeling particularly drawn to. Always take with you an offering. Always take something with you. And granted, if you've forgotten something for an offering, you always have something with you because you have your hair. And hair is one of my favorite offerings to give. In a situation like this, if you're taking any kind of volume out of the ground, you want to replace it with something, not just leave a gaping hole. So it's this whole idea in the northern practice, in the Norse shamanic practice, it's called gebo. It's exchange. It's proper exchange. And it's all about reciprocation. It's recognizing that in order for things to continue to be abundant, the exchange has to go both ways. And it's a quality of recognizing respect. In our current culture, the primary way that we honor this is through money, through the exchange of money for services, for objects, for food, for anything, right? We pay for it. Perhaps you have also incorporated barter into your abundance exchange. So trading services or objects for services or whatever. And that's a very powerful way to honor that reciprocal exchange, the honoring of energy that's been shared with one another. Coming into right relationship with this concept is extraordinarily important to our spiritual progress. Because when we're out of balance with the exchange of energy, we see depletion in our lives. We see that our focus is more on what we don't have instead of honoring and offering gratitude for what we do have. So it is a foundational practice to learn to recognize, honor, and clean up anywhere in your life that is out of balance. And so like a few of the things that you might not even think of, right? Like in our modern world, in our modern times, some things that can create drains or depletion can be something simple as paying bills late. Or let's say you have a tendency to chronically miss your hair appointment, or you cancel at the last minute a doctor's appointment. I'm not talking about the occasional like life happens, and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like it's when those things are habits, when they've become normal, and we've justified in our own mind through the stories that we tell ourselves that the little things don't matter. I promise you that they do. They matter. They matter more than you can imagine. How you do one, okay, so this is one of those statements that I've heard along the way that I don't love it because it's activating to me. It's very triggering to me, you know, like it really holds me accountable for everything and makes me scrutinize, really reflect on how I'm in relationship with abundance and exchange and, you know, and how that feeds my creativity, right? So the statement I'm thinking of is how you do one thing is how you do everything. And what that basically means is that there's no aspect of our life that's isolated, right? And so when we start to look at things like cultivating and connecting into the concept of unlimited abundance in our experience, coming into right relationship with exchange on every level, whether it's your walk in the woods and you find a rock and you ask permission to take that with you and you make an exchange, right? To something like spending quality time with friends or family members, processing information. Like another teaching that I really love that actually comes from more of my corporate, that sounds crazy, but it's true. My corporate background, my business background, right? Working in the corporate culture is this idea of stepping forward and stepping back, right? So thinking about the energetic exchange when we're talking, when we're sharing with people, when we're spending time with people. Are we commandeering the whole energy? Are we withdrawing so much that we're not making a contribution? So finding that balance between offering and receiving, right? And there's appropriate times and places and, you know, different influences and all these kind of things. But this teaching, and this is just one sort of like, you know, expression of it. This is just me following this line. But if you find in your life that you're spending more time thinking and worrying about abundance, how the next, like when the next infusion of money is going to come from, I encourage you to dive in to this concept of exchange or gabo, because when you start to really look at it in relationship to your life as a whole, and you start to notice the places where perhaps boundaries are being overstepped with you, that you aren't receiving a reciprocal balanced exchange of energy for what you're putting out, or if you're not reciprocating, you're receiving a lot, but you're not giving back as much, right? And there's no judgment or anything to, right, you know, it's not about good or bad, right or wrong. It's about learning what that energy flow feels like and how it applies to the rest of our lives and how important that is. And then following that thread into creativity, because when we're concerned about things like how we're going to pay our rent, or it's very difficult to be creative. It's difficult to feel free because we're living in our lower energy centers. We're very concerned with our base necessities. Food, water, shelter, right? So in order to move out of focusing on that, knowing that that is taken care of, We have to come into right relationship, a deep sense of right relationship with this idea of exchange. That then frees up and is directly connected to our creativity. So we've just shifted from root chakra, right, which is basic necessities, food, water, shelter, making sure that those are taken care of, and wherever the flow is coming from to make that happen, right? And the energetic exchange that needs to occur in order for that to materialize. And the stories that we hold around it, right? When that is at a certain level, and for everybody it's a little different, right? But when that's taken care of to a degree, it frees up a level of creativity that it becomes, in my experience, much like a fountain. It's like my cup runneth over with more than enough energy, more than enough focus, more than enough time. See how this all connects to abundance. And that's moving into the second chakra. That's moving into Svadhisthana chakra in the low belly. For us women, it's connected to the womb space. And that is our direct connection into our creativity. And again, that brings us back into this story, talking about how we birth our vision from the area of the second chakra, from our womb, right? So anyways, that's just something to think about. It's something that's showing up for me. It's a course of investigation that I spent many, many, many years really looking at closely, because I had created for myself a imbalance with that in many different areas. So I got the opportunity to learn how to correct it and to bring to the forefront of my practice. And this is the last thing I'm going to touch on before I wrap it up, is gratitude. Gratitude for what we have. When we are grateful for what we have, when we practice gratitude, when we move our attention from fear or lack or focusing on what's not present and redirect our attention to what it is that we do have and what is working and what is showing up and where we are in alignment and when we're really feeling in the flow, it helps us to create more of that. We are, in essence, creatures of creation. We came here to create. We came here to weave our own web, right? So anyways, just some things to think about. I'm so excited for you all to sit with this chapter. I'm excited to circle back on it when we come together in October. Please post any comments, questions that you have about this. I hope that you all will take the time to watch this video all the way through. I know it's kind of long, but hopefully you got something valuable out of it. So anyways, I love you all so much. Thank you for being a part of this program. I've already gained so much from it. Learning how to organize and present the energies that I'm feeling in my own experience in a way that's meaningful for you. And I'm excited to see where all of this takes us. So have a wonderful night. I love you all, and I will talk to you soon. Okay, good night.